down towards turn one they come. Schumacher in the lead, Alesi second. Hakkinen is still in third position. No changes to go into turn one.
This is coming on to the main start-finish straight, but of course Hakkinen's in front. He can get the power on earlier. And although Damon will surely close up, jump start penalty for Jean Alesi.
Oh, and that is terrible, because this, I think, has destroyed the interest of the race in the early stages anyway. Jean Alesi jump start. There's been a lot of controversy about these jump starts. Olivier Panis has had a lot of them, and Gerhard Berger, both the Ferraris, and Berger is in 7th position, and that means to say that now, effectively, Schumacher is some 13 seconds plus ahead of Alesi.
And we understood that there was going to be a view taken on just that. Let's see if Alesi comes into the pits. We're expecting him to. Indeed, he's coming in. And that's going to lose him certainly about 25 seconds and put him right back to probably about 10th behind Frentzen.
Well, it'll be great to see him fighting back. And talking about fighting back, as you see Alesi coming into the pits, Mark Blundell, who started 23rd, is up to 16th on this, the 6th lap of the Japanese Grand Prix. Alesi pulls in, there's a digital board there, and he will have to sit frustratedly and watch those numbers flick over. That's the Ferrari man behind in case he has to restart the car, but he doesn't have to. And Alesi exits the pit lane as the traffic goes through, and he rejoins behind Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who is now 9th, now that Alesi has had to make that stop. So Alesi drops from 2nd to 10th position. Coulthard is 5th. Gerhard Berger was in 6th position, but now it's Barrichello. And look at this battle on the track, with Alesi now up behind Herbert, having got past Frentzen.
Yes, good move there from Alesi. We did see the Ferrari pit there, clearly getting ready for a pit stop from Jean Alesi. Now that would be to put slick tyres on, and the rationale behind doing it that early is because he's being held up at the moment, and probably he may as well benefit from being, or certainly not lose any more. This will be a good time if Jean Alesi thinks he can live with it, and he's the most likely man to cope with it, of coming in, putting on slick tyres. And we hear that Benetton are doing the same as Alesi looks up the inside of Johnny Herbert there. But we expect to see Alesi come in for this lap for slick tyres.
And the great news is that I now have sunshine on the bench in front of me, and that sunshine outside will be helping to dry out the box as Alesi goes for it past Johnny Herbert. Coming up to the chicane, Herbert will have none of it and fights back. Don't forget, Herbert has won twice now. Alesi does go through on the 130R up to the chicane, and Herbert is back a place, and it's Barrichello next, but into the pit lane comes Jean Alesi. Now he's coming in, we believe, to put on slick tyres. You can see the rain tyre grooves on the left front wheel at the left of your picture. There is one of the slick, smooth treaded tyres that are going on the Ferrari, and if he's chosen the right moment, and I think he has, we can now expect to see Alesi storming through the field. Coulthard is in 5th position. Alesi has dropped to 10th, and you can see a stream of them coming in. That is Johnny Herbert from 9th position in the race. He's come in, and you don't need me to tell you, before Michael Schumacher. And that was a spin, I do believe. Jean Alesi in the Ferrari. If it was, we'll get a replay. We joined him on car, and he's in 15th position now. And it's still on lap 9. Schumacher 12.5 seconds ahead of Hakkinen. And Jean Alesi storming. If he did have a spin, it's very understandable that on slick tyres, parts of the course are still, as you can see, very damp indeed, and there would be minimum adhesion between those smooth tyre treads on the Ferrari and the tarmac of the track. Indeed, you can see the car sliding, and here's a replay at the chicane as he closes up behind Pedro Lamy in the Arrows, who was in 14th position, runs wide onto the grass. You can see for yourself what is happening, and off he goes.
Yeah, what is happening there, I think, is that Pedro Lamy was not aware of Alesi coming around the outside of him, moved across to the left, and literally forced Alesi off onto the grass and then the gravel on the left-hand side.
Well, Alesi's back in it now, and he's got Lamy ahead of him, so he's got to do it all over again. Catch the Portuguese driver in the Minardi with the Ford engine, and you can see Lamy is on rain tyres. Alesi dives through this time. Lamy probably a bit embarrassed, moves over, and into the pits comes fourth placed Damon Hill, 17.5 seconds behind Michael Schumacher to take fuel and 4 slick tarred wheels. Out with Hill. 75-mile-an-hour speed limit in the pit lane. Over the line, now he can go for it. Turn 1, turn 2, this is Luca Badoa coming towards us. And we're on car with Jean Alesi. Look for Pedro Lamy. Well, you saw him just disappearing out of the picture. Alesi does a 360-degree spin and fortunately rejoins facing the way he was going.
Absolutely. Very, very fortunate for Jean Alesi there, but I'm sure a bit of Alesi's legendary car control came into it. Interesting to see with that Williams pit stop how slowly it appeared and carefully Hill came up to his pit, and that is because they've been eager. Look at that. He's now 5 seconds a lap faster than the previous fastest lap. And that really means that you've got to be on slicks. Schumacher must surely, and anybody else, come into the pits this lap. There is the evidence you need to be on slick tyres.
It's happening all over again. Jean Alesi on slick tyres moves up from 15th to 9th with a lap in 1 minute 54.4 compared with the previous fastest lap near the 2-minute mark. He's really gathering speed and making up time all the way. Lap 10 out of 53. Schumacher is 12.5 seconds ahead of Hakkinen. Irvine is up to 3rd place. Damon Hill has been in and put on new slick tyres. Schumacher hasn't been in yet, but he's coming in now. Here is Michael Schumacher, the race leader, in for slicks. Now, is Mika Hakkinen going to get through? I can see Hakkinen coming round the last corner now. And Mika Hakkinen goes into the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix as Schumacher passes him. Eddie Irvine may be in 2nd place as David Coulthard comes in. Yes, Eddie Irvine is 2nd. So now Mika Hakkinen leads, Irvine 2nd. I think Schumacher got through into 3rd place. Here is David Coulthard into the pits. Damon Hill, his teammate, has already been in and out, and is already going a lot quicker, of course, on slicks than he did on wets. Out goes Coulthard, and we're on lap 11, and you're watching the fastest man at Suzuka, Jean Alesi, who is now 6th. He was 15th. He moved up to 9th. He's now in 6th position, flying 1 minute 51.4 seconds. This is the man who won the Canadian Grand Prix. This is the man who wants to take another victory to Benetton with him next year when he joins the team.
And to give you an idea just how remarkable Alesi's performance is, it's not just that he's on slicks and the others aren't, because Rubens Barrichello did indeed get on slick tyres, but Barrichello is lapping in 1 minute 56. He's 5 seconds a lap slower than Alesi, and indeed Johnny Herbert is he's 5 seconds a lap slower as well. So these conditions really do suit Alesi. This is when he can make up the ground if at any stage in this race. Slick tyres in damp conditions.
Alesi versus Hill. And look at Jean all over the back of Damon Hill's Williams Renault. And they'll have to be very careful here. These are 2 of the top men in Grand Prix racing today. Into the spoon curve. Out of it to accelerate up to 185 miles an hour on lap 11 as they come up towards the chicane at the end of the lap. So Hill 5th, Alesi 6th. Ahead of them, Coulthard, although his pit stop has probably affected things there. Irvine, Hakkinen and Schumacher. And look at Jean Alesi. He's going to drive round the outside of Damon Hill, and he does it. Incredible at the chicane. And Eddie Irvine into the pits. Now, that was him, and there is the McLaren in the background. That will be Mark Blundell, I think, as he goes out. No, it's Mika Hakkinen. Mika Hakkinen, we're looking down on the fin now. He was leading the race, but he is no longer. Where is Michael Schumacher? Wonderful view of Mika Hakkinen at work with that very big steering wheel of his, and Jean Alesi ahead of Damon Hill. Up into turn 7, on towards the crossover. We're on lap 12.
And again, Damon Hill there, just look at the way Alesi does this. This is absolutely fantastic. Around the outside, on the damper line, both cars have probably got similar amounts of fuel in it. It's an absolutely fair scrap. Alesi doesn't even have to squeeze Damon Hill. Now that is the reaction of team manager Frank Williams. He really would love Damon to be a better racer than he is. And to have Alesi not just going by Hill like that, but pulling out at the rate he is. Alesi is now lapping 1 minute 51, 1 minute 52, and Hill is about 3 seconds a lap slower than that. Alesi is in a class of his own at the moment, and until we see Michael Schumacher get up to speed, which we shall do in the next lap, there he is, we'll get an idea of whether he can actually match Alesi.
So you've seen Schumacher go through. Here is Jean Alesi in the Ferrari. They are both on slick, dry weather tyres. The rain is holding off. The course is drying out. The speeds are going to go faster and faster. We're on lap 12. There are still 41 laps to go as race leader Michael Schumacher completes the lap. And there in the background is the man who is in second place and fastest, Jean Alesi. Damon Hill is third. Jean Alesi's just made the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 49.6. That is the first lap in under 1 minute and 50 seconds at Suzuka today. And he's looking for that second win of 1995. Schumacher, Alesi, Hill, Hakkinen is then next in fourth position. Eddie Irvine in the Jordan Peugeot. David Coulthard down in sixth position. Rubens Barrichello is seventh in the second Jordan Peugeot. Eighth is Johnny Herbert. And all the top men now have made one stop, although Gerhard Berger has all been in twice already.
Now this really is one of the most amazing driving performances I've seen. We saw Alesi in that awesome form at the Nürburgring in similarly damp conditions. But now Alesi running a little bit wide there. I think he braked a little bit too late. But he's lapping 3 seconds a lap faster than Michael Schumacher. Alesi, once again, 1 minute 49.6. Schumacher on the same lap, 1 minute 52.7. But Alesi is only 6.8 seconds behind Michael Schumacher at the moment. And Alesi had to come in for that stop-go penalty for his jump start. This is absolutely sensational. And by the way, in case you wonder why didn't they change those tyres when he had that time penalty stop, he was not allowed to. When you have that kind of penalty, you must only come into the pit for that penalty, and you can do no refueling or no change of tyres.
Right, 5 seconds comes down to 4 seconds. 4 seconds comes down to 3 seconds. That's what it is now. And it's worth repeating the fact that both Alesi and Berger have had an extra 10 seconds plus added to their race time as a result of the penalty for a jump start. They've both been in twice, once for the jump start penalty, once for a new set of tyres, and notwithstanding that, Jean Alesi is second, only 3 seconds behind the man you're looking at now. Race leader Michael Schumacher on lap 16 and continuing to lap faster. Alesi has again done another fastest lap, 1 minute 47.6, and you can see for yourselves how he's gaining on Schumacher.
Yes, I think to give Alesi and Berger the most credit for their driving, particularly Alesi, it's not, of course, just the 10 seconds that's lost when they're at rest in the pits. It's the time taken into the pit lane and coming out, and that's a total deficit around about 20 to 25 seconds. So this is absolutely stunning from Alesi.
So it is a terrific drive by Michael Schumacher, controlling things from the front, and even more so, in my opinion, by Jean Alesi, in view of that jump start penalty that he's had to pay, and which he's overcome by getting ahead of everybody in the race except the one man who you're looking at now, Michael Schumacher, on lap 25.
Interestingly, at that first pit stop that all the drivers did, changing from wets to slicks, Alesi's time in the whole of the pit lane was 3 seconds less than anybody else, and that included Michael Schumacher. Now, I think we can infer from that they probably were at rest, say at least 2 seconds shorter. That means they put 2 seconds less worth of fuel in, and looks like smoke from the back of the Ferrari.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Does that mean the engine's going? Jean Alesi has definitely blown his engine in some way. Smoke pouring out of the back.